Hi, good evening. My name is Herman, and I will be taking you through this module. Uh, Noel, can you indicate whether you can hear me now? And as many of you out there who are, oh, brilliant. Noel says yes. Tanya, are you going to let me know? That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for this session in which we will be looking at the portfolio of evidence. Marlene, welcome, and Richard, you are very welcome. Welcome to Morapelli as well. Karine, Francis, it's wonderful that so many of you turned up for this. Um, Richard, there is no video, unfortunately, because adding the video causes a bandwidth problem at times, which in turn affects both the video and the sound. So we're doing this without the video, and believe you me, you don't want to see me at the end of a long day peering at you nearsightedly through a webcam either. So it's better that we do it like this and just use the voice. As you are doing, you are welcome throughout to type in questions. Ask any questions you want to about the portfolio of evidence and its submission. I will take you through the process. Uh, I'll take you through the 6 little projects which make up the overall portfolio of evidence. And the objective with this session is to make sure that at the end of it, you all know what you are required to do next. So if we can start with then the first slide there, just a bit of background on what the objectives are with this module. Firstly, and for me personally, the most important objective is to help you to find your academic voice. You may have discovered by now, if you are taking other modules as well this semester, that within the world of the academic environment, people talk and write in a different way. And this module is aimed at helping you take the first few steps in adopting that academic way of expressing yourself and most importantly perhaps of writing, because writing remains an important activity throughout your qualification journey, because most of the assessment is based on projects, assignments, exams which are written. And it helps a lot if you know how to write, how to touch the right nerve in the markers approach to the evaluation. So that's the first objective. Also, hopefully, you will be participating in putting this portfolio of evidence together. You'll be participating in some free writing. In other words, just telling us what you think, how you feel about things. And unfortunately, it's something that we don't often get an opportunity to do, because I suspect that you all are very busy people. Most of you have careers and studies and families, all sorts of responsibilities to take care of. And that wonderful feeling of being able to express yourself express your feelings, your opinions, using a pen and paper is such a great thing. And hopefully, here and there might be somebody who discovers it for the first time and enjoys it. So that's another objective. There's also an opportunity to do some creative writing and to not only be required to focus on facts, but to tell us what you think, how you feel about what you've done so far this semester, and so on. And hopefully, in all of these activities, in all of these projects, you'll get a window opening onto the various resources which are out there available to the writer to help you and to assist you and to guide you. As you know, on the internet these days, one could find almost any type of information. And there's also a lot of information available on how to write this, that, and the other. And I hope that you will be tempted to start exploring some of those resources as well. Those are the objectives with this module. What are the supporting components of this portfolio of evidence which you are required to do, to submit? First of all, there's the learner guide, which is also available on the eLearn platform. There's the academic literacy textbook written by Beekman and others, which you need to be able to do this portfolio of evidence. You will also find on the module website, on that platform, you'll find the Academic Literacy 1 Portfolio of Evidence guidelines on how to write the portfolio of evidence, how to collect all those documents that go into the submission. The submission date is the 15th of May. If I calculate that quickly, it would seem as if that's about 17, 18 days away now. You need to do that submission online on the 15th of May. And of course, the time limit is also very specifically stated as 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So by 1500 hours, you are required to have that document already sitting in that submission inbox. My suggestion is to not wait until the very last moment to do that, because as you can imagine, the system would be quite loaded, quite busy, and you might just have a problem submitting on time if you start the process at 5 or 6 minutes to 3 o'clock. And the last point there to take note of is that all these projects, all six of the projects need to be submitted as one document. So you need to make sure that these are not 6 separate documents, but it comes onto the online submission as just one document. Are there any questions so far? Anything you would like me to clarify further, or maybe add something about so far? I see Tanya and Marlene typing. Let's just give them a chance to do so. Okay, Tanya, um, you are right. Those word count limitations are very, very stringent. I think that's the right word to use there. Um, but you need not be so concerned about the word count thing in this submission. Uh, Nobody is going to sit there and deduct marks for every word that you go over 350. So please don't be so worried about it. As long as as long as you, of course, don't go overboard. If you start submitting like 600 words, 700 words per project, it becomes a problem. But you are absolutely right. I think it's a bit ambitious of us to expect students to really answer the questions in 350 words or less. We already upped the word limit for every project for this particular semester that you're in, but I think the lesson I've learned so far from feedback and comments from students is that we need to make that word budget a bit more generous in future. Um, you and I see Marlene is asking whether she can already submit. Yeah, I think technically you should be able to submit, Marlene, but remember that there's project 2, which requires of you to use a marked um, uh, reference list from a submission. So possibly you need to wait to have that and include that for project 2. But we'll talk about that again a bit later. Tanya, a page and a half sounds great to me. So you still in the ballpark if you go to a page and a half, whereas the required word limit may want to restrict you to only one page. So hopefully that will make it a bit easier for you. Tanya, I hope that you still feel interest enough to go back and add to what you've got there, or perhaps be happy with what you've got in terms of the more extensive answers that you've developed. A reference page is only a tick. That's fine. Green. So we ask of the markers to give feedback, to say something in the reference page in terms of feedback, but sometimes they don't. They just give put a tick there, and I would like to think that a tick is a sign that your reference page is perfect. So that's fine. Yeah, that's not a problem. Let's just wait for Noel to type his question in as well. I think all of these questions are important, and it is very much worthwhile pausing a bit and just giving you an opportunity to get all of that onto the table. Yes, yes. Oh no, yes, thank you for reminding me of that. The previous semester's assignment, you can use that reference page, that marked reference page as well from the previous semester. I forgot to mention that. So that's absolutely fine. Thank you, Noel, for helping there. Right. It looks as if you are all then on board and happy with what we've done so far. Let's go on to the next one. I added this slide because I'm a bit worried. Often students phone and say to me, but do I really need the textbook? everything I need seems to be in the learner guide and in the POE guideline. You do need the textbook. You definitely need the textbook because remember that the textbook tells you how to do what you need to put into your project. It tells you, for example, how to structure paragraphs, how to build a sentence, how to make sure that you have a structure and a format in your answer. So the textbook contains guidelines on how to write, and that is, of course, almost the sole reason for submitting this project. Uh, it's an opportunity to show the marker how you are able to write. So I would say that the textbook is indeed essential in this process, and I don't recommend that you go it alone and without the textbook. The textbook supports the study guide, or the learner guide rather. Um, and it also provides you with some practical guidelines in terms of referencing. Referencing is, as you may have experienced by now with other assignments that you've submitted, referencing is an increasingly important issue at which the markers and the examiners look when you submit assignments or projects. So every bit of help in terms of how to reference correctly that you can get should be welcomed, and the textbook has some of that in it as well. So that's about the textbook. Let's just look at an overview of the POE, or the portfolio of evidence. There are 6 projects which you need to complete for this submission, and the projects, each one of them has a particular structure and format which is suggested. Please make sure that you start every new project on a new and separate page. You may think it's a pretty obvious thing to do, but we still get students who submit projects where they cram as much as possible onto the same page, and it then becomes, of course, very, very difficult to read. And the last thing that you want to do is to give an examiner something that is hard or difficult to read, because that's one way of ensuring that your marks are not going to be as good as they potentially could be. Make sure that you use the space on every page, that you use proper paragraphs with open spaces between them and all that kind of thing, which ensures that the examiner, the marker, finds it easy to read. As I've said before, the 6 projects should be consolidated into one document which you submit on the 15th of May. The reference list is on the last page. Please take note of the fact that with this you are going to call it a reference list and not a bibliography. The bibliography is used as a term when you've read a lot of extra books to inform your opinion and approach, which I doubt whether you're going to do for this. You're more likely to just focus on the essentials. I think that's normally the approach. You submit online on the 15th of May. Right, so let us start by looking at these 6 projects, and At the end of the discussion of each, I'll be giving you an opportunity to ask questions again. The project 1 is about following a blog and writing a report on it. Project 2 is most probably the simplest and easiest. You just need to obtain proof of a marked assignment reference list. Project 3, where you reflect on the process of completing the assignments. Project 4 focuses on a summary of a book or an article you have read. Project 5 concerns a marketing magazine article, which we ask you to read and comment on again. And Project 6 is the first semester reflection. I don't know what I had in mind when I thought that word first. Hopefully I wasn't feeling too aggressive. Maybe I had some hidden aggression there, but it's not first, it's first semester reflection. You see, if I had done what I'm telling you to do, or what I'm going to tell you to do, to read through the stuff before you submit it, I would have picked up that mistake. And it wouldn't be necessary for me to apologize about it. So those are the 6 projects, just a quick overview of them, and now we'll be discussing them each individually, the one after the other. Karin, I see. Okay. Oh, yes, we'll get to that in a minute. It's not only the reference that you need to submit, but you need to write something small as well. That's great. We will look at that in some detail in a minute. Let's look then at the first one, the first project. Find a blog and follow it for a few weeks. Well, I'm hoping that maybe there are some of you who have been following a blog for some time already, because if you need to follow it for a few weeks, you've practically run out of time. No, that's just a joke. It's okay. It's not. It's preferable that you follow it for a few weeks. It's a great learning experience if you can follow it for a few weeks, but don't feel despondent if you haven't started it yet. So find a blog and follow it for some time, let's say that, and be optimistic that there are some of you who've been doing it for a few weeks. It could be a marketing blog or a blog on anything else that you are interested in, be it vintage cars or gardening or staying fit. Anything is fine. Just find something that you are interested in. Make notes on your impressions as you visit the blog over a period of time. It's a good idea if you keep a learning journal or a learning log in which you just make a few notes about the blog that as you visit it and as you get your impressions about it every time you go back. And we then ask you to close off with some theory as you reflect on your experience of having followed the blog. Now, this theory could be virtually anything. It could be related to a theory from business communication, or theory from marketing, theory from business management, anything that you can find or do find that has a connection with the blog and has some academic theory injected into it would do well there. Um, Now, there are a couple of reasons why we ask you to follow a blog. Firstly, because it's interesting that in spite of the fact that we think of ourselves as techno savvy and well informed on things internet, so few people actually get to the point of exploring blogs and finding out what a fascinating world it is uh, to be following a blog and to be updated perpetually on what's happening, what people are saying on this blog. As Tanya said there, it could be a very interesting experience. And the objective with this is to give you an opportunity to take note of how people comment in the public domain, which is a blog, but also to make you aware of the fact that you could find a lot of information about your studies, about the different modules that you're covering in your studies by following a blog on marketing or a blog on advertising, a blog on social media, whatever the case may be. But hopefully you will become hooked. You will not only submit a very good project one, but you will also become hooked on following a blog or a few blogs. Hopefully that's what will happen to you as a result of doing this one. Could I ask if there are any questions about this project one, following the blog? Abigail and Ashira, I think you've, or I see that you've joined as well. Welcome, and I hope you feel connected. Yeah, Marlene, I think the word count there is 350 words as well. Let me quickly check. Yeah, I think it's 350 words. But again, on in terms of the word count, we're not being very specific. We're saying that you should allocate one paragraph to each of the four subsections. So there should be 4 paragraphs at least. Well, I think we're getting away there by not being too specific. The only thing, Marlene, we are willing to tell you is that it should be 4 paragraphs. Now, that's a very wide open suggestion because I guess a paragraph could be very short or quite long, but that's the only guidance I can see. Oh, and it says it should not exceed 1 page, but don't be worried if it goes over a page and goes to a page and a half, that's fine. In fact, I love it so much when I have to mark these projects and I get one of these blog reflections from a student where you can see that this person really got under the skin of the blog and they comment on it and they chat about it and they reflect on it and it's wonderful. And I turn the page and oh, there's only one more paragraph to read, and I say to myself, gee whiz, I wish the student had kept on writing. But let me just put out a warning there that don't start writing 3 and 4 pages, of course, but the essential thing is if you go to to the extent of doing more than a page, then you shouldn't be worried. Marlene, I'm glad that you also enjoy doing that. Um, and that's great. Getting comments like this makes my job worthwhile to me, and it's brilliant. Thank you. Right. Um, let's look at project two, which has to do with submit um, proof of reference. Luke, welcome and great to see you being positive about this as well. Thank you. Submit proof of reference. We simply ask you to try and get hold of your marked assignments as soon as the marks are released. Start the process immediately. Make contact with the Student Support Center where you submitted your assignment and ask them to pull out your assignment and to keep it ready for you to come and pick it up. They need a day or two just to get the admin and the finding and the pulling out of the assignment done. But so you need to give them some lead time, but you should be able to pick that assignment up. And what you literally then do is just remove the marked reference page, list page from your marked assignment, all the better if it is a page with some comments on it. And you add a paragraph to that. Now, I'm not very sharp with computers. I can't tell you exactly how to do it, but don't feel that you are going to be subjected to mark deductions if you don't do it exactly right. So you could, for example, just write a paragraph by hand on the original document and then scan it and make it part of your submission. Or there are some clever people who know how to do these things and they are able to type onto the scanned document even. But however you do it, this is not about tripping you up or finding fault with you. It's just about having an opportunity to have a good time writing about something, putting this portfolio together. So however you do it, it doesn't matter. It's just that you need to add the paragraph, and technically on how to do it, you've got me. I can't tell you. If I had to do it myself, I would just write a paragraph by hand and scan it into the document. Karine, I see that you have the, you can scan and get a snapshot based on a page. Well, I hate to tell you this, but I understand about 3 words in that sentence. But hopefully the other students who are watching this, reading this, know what you're meaning. It's great that you know and you can share that information with us. Yes, Francis, you're asking if the space below on the reference page, yes, that's exactly where you need to put that paragraph. And what happens now if you can't get hold of a marked assignment? Maybe you are out of the country, or you live too far away from the student support center, or maybe they are too overwhelmed with too many calls from people wanting to get their assignments back, and you can't get hold of yours. Not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. All you need to do is, instead of submitting that proof of reference marked copy, you just write a paragraph on why is referencing important, why do we need to do it, why is it a good thing to do when you're a student to be able to do referencing well, and that's it. Don't get panicky if you unable to get hold of that page and submit it. So that's project 2 then. Shall I give you a minute or two again to ask questions if there are any? Um, Perhaps, see, Tanya is typing. Uh, Perhaps that's the easiest project of the 6 to do. Uh, Tanya, yes, you need a cover page, which I understand you can get hold of online. If I'm not up to date with the technical stuff here, but as far as I know, as you submit your project online, a cover page will come up, which you need to complete. And of course, this project needs a reference page at the back as well. Yes, the final page of virtually every document which you submit for assessment while you're at a university uh, would need a reference list added to it. Yes, Tanya, it does mean that there's a cover page which is a formatted page, which I think you sits online, as far as I know. Uh, Check it out tonight. Go to the place where you submit, click on it, and just check it out. I'm not, as I say, I'm not very good with the technical stuff. I'm not so sure how you do the cover page, but you do need to complete the cover page. Right. Let's look at project 3. Um, where we ask you to reflect on your assignment submission process. Now, I don't know whether you would find this sort of thing interesting. It fascinates me that the people who study managers and the science of management in the modern day and age, they tell us that one of the big shortcomings with most managers is the fact that they don't spend time on the reflection. In much more simple language, it simply means that people do not have the time or spend the time thinking back about what they had done and what they can learn from their experience. So this project is aimed at starting the process of you reflecting, learning to reflect, and writing down your reflections. So what we ask you to do with this project is to think of the period of time you spent during the process of preparing your assignments for submission. Write up your experience of doing this, of completing these assignments. Were there any important lessons you learned from this? Lessons about yourself, perhaps, about your own time management skills and sensitivities, about the fact that you learned that you are actually very good with writing up assignments. Anything that you've learned from completing the assignments and submitting them. The the point there to write reflectively means that I often get submissions on this project which students wrote up just telling us me what had happened. On Tuesday I got up and I completed my business management assignment. I put the cover sheet on and I was ready to submit it. That's exactly not what I want to read. And that sort of writing is not the kind of writing which will gain you good marks here. Uh, Writing reflectively means that you write something along the lines of uh, some of the questions in business management were easier to do than others. However, I found that struggling with a question actually taught me more about the subject than I anticipated. And looking back on it now, I think that it's a good thing that there are easier and more difficult questions in an assignment, because the more difficult questions make you dig deeper into the material, and that uh, causes you to learn more. Can you see the difference between just stating the fact uh, or the facts about the submission process and actually reflectively writing about it? Telling us, for example, if you are going to do it differently uh, next time. Are you going to start earlier? Ha ha ha. Most students say that, but when it comes to the starting gun for handing in, most are still leaving it to the last minute. I always enjoy uh, 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 standing at the door watching students run in at the last minute at 5 minutes to 3 on that submission date. And I, I honestly don't understand why people do it to themselves. But in any case, maybe that's how they enjoy doing it. Let me just see what Karina said there. There is including running from work and attend. Oh, yes. Karin, so glad you made it. Glad you made it. And welcome again, even if you had to rush. No, Tanya, we don't get access to the online submissions before a certain date. So even if you submit now, the opportunity to mark it will only come about in about 4 or 5 days after the submission date, when it is passed on to us. So you're right. No early bird opportunities there at all. Yeah, Tanya. Fortunately, I'm a bit weird, I guess, but I so enjoy really every one of these things that I have to mark that I need to force myself to stop in the evenings and to keep some for the next day, because it's really fascinating to see how different students approach these projects, and you can see that each one of these submissions carries the individual thumbmark of the person who wrote it. There's enough opportunity and leeway in this project to allow for some personality to come through, and that is what's so fascinating about this. Tanya, no, I don't mark all of them because there are simply too many. I mark a good number of them, about 1/3, and there are 2 other markers who help us with the marking. So it's it's a great thing, and I always look forward to it. Uh, let's just see if Diamond a big struggle. Richard, it's a big struggle for most people. Uh, I'm nearly ancient now as I speak, and I haven't got it in the bag yet. The time management continues to be um, a difficult thing to keep in check. And I don't know if you agree, Richard, but the most important factor in time management which trips us up or trips me up uh, is the luxury of postponing, not starting when you have the time, but waiting and postponing that starting of it. Uh, so I think our time management skills would increase tenfold if we just could get ourselves to start in time. Tanya, on average, about I would say 500 to 600 students uh, takes will be will, will be registered for this module this semester. So it's a good number, and that's one of the reasons why it's not really possible for only one person to mark this. Right. Um, the, the, the moments of silence you hear are the minutes the chances I take to take a bit of a drink, and it's good clean Coke. So sorry about that break in the communication. Yes, Tapelu, definitely. The procrastination is a bad thing, and it's wonderful when you do it, but it's not so good when you have to face the consequences a bit later. Uh, Luke is still typing, and then we can move on to the next one. Let's see what Luke is asking or saying or commenting on. It's, of course, for me, uh, okay, you want us to move on, we'll do that right away, and we get to project 4, summary of book or article. Now, we tell you in the guidelines to read either a book or an article. Of course, I've had a call from a student one day to say to me, but surely this is not possible. You can't give the option. Who would read a book? And fortunately, I was able to tell him that he would be surprised to see how many students actually go to the trouble of reading a book for this project, or they simply refer to a book they've read recently. There are actually people out there who still read books, but you can, for this project, read either a book or an article. Tell us what made you choose this particular book or the article, and what was the thing that really moved you in this book or article? What was the main message, and how did it impact on your thinking? Because I think when we read something and we can afterwards reflect on it and realize what the reading of it actually mean to us in our lives, we become slowly but surely more addicted to the act of reading, which is ideally what I would like you all to do after this project, and that is to start reading more widely. Did the author say or present anything in that book or article which you could take as a message with you on your journey through your life? Was there something special in that book? Uh, I'm reading at the moment a book on the history of Constantinople or Istanbul, and I will go. I haven't completed the reading yet, but I definitely committed myself to visiting that city because it's so fascinating, the history of it. So every book, every article leaves us with an abiding message. And what we try and get you to do there is to just take a step back and to recognize that impact it had on you. Let me just read. Marlene has typed a question here, and it's a pretty long word of subject of study skills. Okay. Marlene, once again, it would be great if you could find something on study skills, but it could also be on marketing or on just juggling, studying, and working, and all the other things that you are. There are so many fascinating things about the whole thing. Corinne, I hope I get yours to Mark. I've often seen that book, French Women Don't Get Fat, and I never had a chance to read it. So make sure that you give a good summary and save me the money so that I don't need to buy it, because it just seemed fascinating to me, and it would be great if you could read that book and take a message from that. I see Tanya is typing, Tapelu is typing. Let's just see, and then we'll move on. Okay, Tanya, yes. Tapelu, Who Moved My Cheese is a book which came out a few years ago, but it remains a very popular book. It's almost a classic in management thinking. Who Moved My Cheese? Yeah, great. Oh, I can see that you are all on board here, and that you know what to do about this one. So let's move on. And wait a moment, Marlene, Karina still typing. Let's just see. Hopefully, okay. Tapelu. So Tapelu, there are people waiting for your version of the book. So hope you enjoy doing it. Right. Project 5. The article in Strategic Marketing Magazine. I'm sorry. My second typo in this series of slides. I think there are only about 12 slides, and already I've made 2 mistakes, so I'm not doing very well today. But in any case, so we want you to read an article from the Strategic Marketing Magazine. If you can't find an article, if you can't get hold of a copy, there is a copy of an article from a previous magazine on the module website. I think it has something to do with clothing retailers. And if you don't like that article, you can blame me, because I chose it and wanted to include it because I thought it was really fascinating. And in it, the author talks about stuff that you and I may be aware of. But he structures it in a different way. And I found that it helped my understanding of the marketplace for clothes, uh, which is out there and functioning. Uh, okay, uh, yes, Francis, yes, if I can do it, I should allow other people to make a few typos as well, I guess. You've got me there, so I'll be careful and not deduct too many marks. Right. Read the article a couple of times and then respond to the guidelines which we've given you there on how to reflect on the content of the article. Now, in this project, there is something which students unfortunately often neglect to do, and that is to give, after they've written their reflection, give the article to somebody else to read as well, and ask them to tell you what they think of the article, its content, and the slant that the author is adopting and writing about the subject. And tell us what the other person said and how did this influence your understanding of the article. The reason for that part of the project is that it's amazing how you can have an opinion on something, especially something that you've read, and then give it to somebody else and hear what they think about it and how that broadens your understanding of the content and takes you to a much deeper level of understanding about the article. So it's important that you should ask somebody else to also read and reflect on the article. It's an important requirement for this little project and something that I always look out for in awarding marks. Yes, Tanya, you are required, as I've said, to tell us first of all your reflection, and after you've written that, you give it to somebody else, and then you, maybe not rewrite your answers, Tanya. That's not. That shouldn't be the way to do it. It's better to just tell us what the other person said and how this impacted on your view. It's not necessary to rewrite your answer. Thank you for pointing that out to me. I'll make that as an improved change in the guidelines for the next semester. Let's just wait for Marlene to type her question or comment, and we'll take further from there. Marlene stopped typing, so maybe she's okay. Okay, great. Let's move on to number 6, the last one. Where we ask you to reflect again. And this time we ask you to look back on the semester. This 6 months of, first 6 months of 2017. Your learning experience at the IMM Graduate School. Reflect on that. Tell us what you enjoyed doing. What were the high points? What were the most enjoyable parts of it? Also, if there were experiences that you did not enjoy so much, I hope there are not too many of those, because I think we owe it to ourselves that we should have happy lives, but let's face it, sometimes not such or less happy things happen to us. So if you did not enjoy something, also tell us about that. What did you find especially valuable about the 6 months? Is there something that you discovered, that you learned about yourself, that you found especially illuminating, and that you will sort of go on to think about and learn more from as an insight. So, again, uh, here, what we are looking for in marking this question or this answer, rather, uh, is not a simple recounting of the semester, but a bit of personal feeling about what you enjoyed, what you feel good about, what you learned about yourself. So that's the Project 6. And even though we give you guidelines there on what to put in the answer, it's another opportunity to do a bit of free writing. Uh, Give us something that will make the marker feel that, oh, I maybe haven't met Tanya previously, but now I feel like when I meet her, I'll be able to connect with her because she's told me something about herself and I got to know her better through a piece of writing that she had done. That's the what, as I've said previously, that's what's so amazing for me about marking these projects is that you get to meet new people. And I don't have much of a social life when I'm excited by the idea of reading somebody's submission, but well, that's just me. I love that and I enjoy it. So I look forward to you submitting these 6 projects and giving me the opportunity to read about it. Uh, Again, we go back to the actual day of the 15th of May and submitting the project. Uh, Tanya, yes, you can do that as well if you've been involved in studying for some time. You are welcome to reflect even further back. Uh, right. Uh, Tapelu, yes, definitely. If you give us feedback that you think could be useful to improve the entire process, you are welcome to do so. Uh, so I'm just repeating a few things. It must be submitted as one document. Again, keep in mind to have every new project started on a new page. The reference list page comes in last. Uh, and just a repeat of the fact that the word count thing is not so strictly applied here. So don't become too caught up in trying to reduce. That's not what it is about here. Just be careful about writing endless pages because that, of course, gets to be quite difficult to mark. So if you are going over the word limit, it's not the end of the world. But just don't go too wild. Tapelo, I can't give you an exact pass rate for this module. It's been pretty good though, because you know, as long as you make an effort, as long as you put some effort into this, there are not right and wrong answers. There are just students who make an effort and students who don't. And obviously, the students who don't make an effort don't get such a good mark. But those who do end up getting, it is possible to get a distinction and even higher marks than 75% for it. Marlene, unfortunately, we don't give feedback on it. It's most online submissions don't carry a feedback feedback report going back to the students. I think it would have been wonderful, though, if we could have given feedback and it could have gone back to you, but it's just not practically possible. Right. Just repeating a few important things. The submission date, 15 of May, before 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's dangerous to leave it to the last minute because you're gonna find that if your laptop is like mine, it senses your level of anxiety. And that's the moment when it dies on you, or the electricity gets cut, or something goes wrong. Your mother phones you to come and feed the dog, or whatever. But so don't leave it to the last minute. Try and submit it the day before. And just again, a reminder of the need to complete the cover page, please. The Apelu, your computer must be the same make as mine. It definitely senses my level of anxiety and then conks out. Okay, Kareem, thank you for the feedback. Kareem, I'm glad you got this the textbook. I could really recommend the chapter on study skills. It's extremely well written. I think you'll enjoy reading it. If you have questions, you see that there is a email which I'm giving you there, which you can use for sending in questions, and normally we respond within a day or two. So make use of that if you get stuck. Don't hang around and get anxiouser and anxiouser. Oh, by the way, that's not a word, anxiouser, but you know what I mean. Don't get so anxious and hung up about the problem that you become totally immobile. Rather just ask somebody and let us help you. There's also the module forum, which is there for you to post your questions. And that was my last slide. We've come to the end of this session. I'm just going to give you some minutes. I'm glad, Kapelu, that you are feeling more informed. I always have a sense of fear and that people may feel that they've wasted your time. But it's good to see that you've participated so actively and that you've engaged so well. That's truly brilliant and made it great for me. So I had a wonderful time. I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but for me it was great. Thank you so much for logging in, logging on. I wonder what the right expression is. In any case, thank you for being part of the process and for participating so well. And I'm sharing Kareem's good wishes to all of you. I hope that you do well in the exams. Please do well in the exams. Don't get anxious and all, tense and your anxiety levels up about the exam. Try and just do well and enjoy it. Francis, don't ever give up. Don't give up. Hang on. Don't give up on your studies. Come in, let somebody help you if you're battling. There's also there's almost always somebody who can help you. Just don't give up, please. Don't do that. Tanya is asking if one gives an overall mark. Yes, definitely. There is an impression mark which is awarded, Tanya. So that's definitely worthwhile asking yourself if this looks like something that somebody would want to read, that I presented in a way which makes it look attractive. We do calculate each project individually, but then also do a overall mark. So yes, right. Richard is typing, and let's see what he's saying, and then I will sign off. Richard, there's definitely a cover sheet that you need to fill in. And I think, as I understand it, once you have a document to upload and you click the upload function, the cover sheet comes up. That's how I understand it. That's what the technical boffins tell me. So I think you will find that it sits there and it will come up when you want to submit. Right. I hope you have a great Monday evening. And if you're going to have a long weekend, have a brilliant time and please be safe. And it's important that you keep working on this and submit a project that's going to be great to read. I'm looking forward to reading it and to sharing your experience of this semester with you. Morapelli is typing. Let's see. Okay, not anymore. Right. Okay. Thank you to you, Morapelli, for joining us. Of course, this session will be posted on the module forum. On that platform, you'll find it there in a few days. Let's say by the middle of next week, it should be available there. The slides will be available as well as the audio. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Brilliant. I really enjoyed this, and good night to you. Bye-bye.